Hey friends, you made it!
Welcome to Little Kids Big Hearts YouTube channel.
If you enjoy our videos, make sure you like, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Enjoy the episode!
Hi friends, this is Todd. Today we've got a special guest joining us who's actually been with us all season long. You've heard his work in every single episode, but this is the first time you'll hear his voice. It's our amazing audio engineer and sound designer, Ryan Marth. In addition to his work with Little Kids Big Hearts, Ryan is a film and television composer whose work includes contributions to studio action films, Emmy-winning documentaries, and award-winning independent features. He's composed, produced, and created audio for major studios, including Disney+, Netflix, Hulu, and National Geographic. And guess what? We also have another special guest joining us today, Ryan's daughter, Clover. She's going to help me with the interview, and she has some great questions just for her dad. This month, we've been focusing on the power of music, and we thought chatting with Ryan and Clover would be the perfect way to wrap it all up. So, welcome to the podcast, Ryan and Clover.
Hi, Todd.
Hi, Clover.
Hello.
Hey, Clover, you want to tell everybody listening how old you are?
8.
8. And I found 8 years old. That is second grade. And I asked Clover before we got started what was one of her favorite subjects. And what did you say, Clover?
Math. And reading and math tests.
So fun. Your dad and I were saying we weren't very good at math. So if we have any questions of math related, Clover, we might come to you. Ryan, you're an expert in telling stories with sound. You help people feel something just through music and sound effects. And I've really learned a lot from you working with you this season. Can you share with our listeners, how can music or sound effects help people understand how someone is feeling even without words?
I think that's a great question. I think sound and any art really, it doesn't have to be sound, but art in general, I think can do a better job communicating feelings than words can. I mean, words are kind of limited in some way. Whereas if you hear a song that maybe you used to listen to years ago and you hadn't heard it, and then you hear it again in your car or at the supermarket or whatever, it kind of transport you right back to that point in time in your life. And you could be shopping for eggs and have tears streaming down your face. And, sound and music and art or a picture could do the same thing, a beautiful painting or a play or a film. I think art really has the ability to let us feel and express our feelings in a way that language might be limited in. So,
yeah. When you said that, it reminded me, one of my favorite bands is Fleetwood Mac. And anytime I hear Fleetwood Mac, I kind of just think, I'm at the right place. I'm doing the right thing. It just gives me such like a calm feeling. How music can kind of transport us back to a special time in our lives. I definitely relate to that. Clover, you got a question for your dad?
How do you know what sound is right when you're working on something? Like, how do you choose the perfect sound for a part that's happy or spooky?
Ooh, good question.
yeah, I think it takes a lot of practice. And just like anything, you have to practice and practice and practice and find the right things that work the best. But also, there isn't really, there is a right and wrong, but for the most part in art, there's a lot of just expression of what you think. And that's what makes art cool. It depends on the artist, what they think is spooky or fun. And sometimes that can translate in a way that you expect or that you don't expect. But I think the right answer is probably just lots of practice.
Yeah. One of the most exciting parts, I think, of our podcast is when we go to the Land of Qook-a-lackas using all kinds of magical transportation. Can you share some of your tools or techniques you use to help our listeners feel like they're going on those journeys with us?
Yeah, so I do have tools that I use, sound effects and music, and, there are tools, but I think the best tool is to just close your eyes and be quiet and listen. And if you're trying to imagine the story that you're telling and what you and the kids are doing in the land, you can kind of imagine what you might be hearing when you're looking around in your imagination and you're seeing things. Is there grass that you're walking on? Is there wind? Are there birds chirping? What would you like to hear that you're not hearing that you're seeing in your imagination? And you kind of build the world out from there.
Yeah.
Do you ever make sounds with word stuff like squishy toys or spaghetti? What's the silliest thing you've ever used to make a sound?
Well, I recently worked on the music for a film that's premiering next week at the Brooklyn Film Festival, I believe.
Oh.
And the film centers, funny enough, around a toothbrush. So I went down to the convenience store down the street and bought a cheap toothbrush. And I just experimented with, brushing the toothbrush on funny things that I could kind of find to make funny toothbrush sounds. And then I layered that into the music of the film score. The film score, that's the music in a movie. And yeah, I just took that toothbrush and I rubbed it on funny things to make funny toothbrush sounds to kind of give you that idea of feeling a toothbrush in the music. And then I wrote music around that. So it kind of worked like a percussion tool.
That reminds me of, do you know that story of Dolly Parton writing 9 to 5?
I don't know that story, but I love Dolly Parton. And I love the song.
I just got back from Nashville. So Dolly Parton, when she was working on the film 9 to 5, she brought Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda over to have them listen to a song. And she used her acrylic nails for the beat of the intro of the song. I can't do it, but and it's actually credited in the song. That's part of the music that she used to create that song was her acrylic nails rubbing against each other.
That's so fun. So many times we think that you need these really fancy instruments and all these expensive things to make the music sound really great. But what it comes down to is finding unique things that maybe aren't expensive, that you can just clap your hands or get a toothbrush and brush on. And that's really going to make the music stand out and be its own and not sound like everything else.
Yeah. Can you tell us about a time when music or sound totally changed how a scene felt? Like it made something funny or scary or more magical?
Well, I would say that's every time. Anytime that you put music on or sound effects, it's going to change how you're feeling about what you're seeing. That's kind of the magic of audio, I think. And every time you're just trying to get that emotion just right. And it takes some trial and error. And so lots of times when you're working on any production, if it's music for a production or sound effects for a production, you work with a team. And that's what we do here on Little Kids Big Hearts is we have a team and everybody gets to send in their notes and feedback and make sure that it sounds and feels the right way. So it's not too spooky or not too scary, or it's not funny when it shouldn't be funny, or it's not somber when it shouldn't be somber. And yeah, it's a group effort. And maybe the first time isn't right, but you keep trying and really hone in and dial in the right amount of whatever emotion you're trying to put into it.
Yeah, it reminds me, I live in Astoria, Queens, New York, and we have a museum here called the Museum of the Moving Image. And it's a very hands-on museum. And one of the exhibits is it shows famous scenes from films, and you can add your own music underneath it. And so you'll see a scene maybe that was like a dramatic scene in the movie, but you put a funnier feel of music behind it, and it just completely changes your experience of what you're seeing. It changed the whole sense of that moment.
Absolutely. I remember being little and watching Jurassic Park, and the dinosaurs are stomping around, and it would be so scary. And a little trick that I learned is if you just hit the mute button, all of a sudden it's not really scary anymore.
Yeah.
And you can watch it. And so sometimes if things are too scary, you can just hit that mute button. That's a pro tip for all you guys out there.
I will try that. I like scary movies, but sometimes they do get a little too scary. Clover, do you have another question for your dad?
When did you start making music? Did little you have instruments all around too?
Well, I did have some instruments around when I was probably your age, Clover. There was a piano and there were some keyboards. But one day, my grandpa came home with a trumpet that he had bought at a garage sale. when I was in fifth grade. And so I started learning how to play the trumpet, and then I learned classical music, how to play in an orchestra type of band. And I played all the way through school, junior high school, and then high school. And from there, I learned how to play guitar and other instruments, drums and piano and all those things. And so, yeah, I did have instruments laying around, and I like to play all of them.
I played trumpet when I was probably Clover's age. And I remember my grandmother always wanted me to learn the piano. She really tried. And I didn't have it in me. And I wish now that I had listened to her and really took those lessons seriously. And guitar. I'm always jealous of people or envious of people who play the guitar. It's such a beautiful instrument. As you know, I teach 3 and 4-year-old children, and music is a huge part of our classroom. We use it to calm our bodies down, to dance, to get our bodies moving, and other times to explore instruments, and even to learn about musicians who have made a real difference in the world. So I'm curious how you use music at home and how it's helped your own kids like Clover. I know you have 3 kids. How does music play a part of your family's experience?
Well, we're always listening to music, and we do have instruments at home if the kids want to play it. I have made a conscious decision as a parent to not try and push what I love onto my kids. I want to encourage them to find the things that they love and they're passionate about. For Clover, that looks like dance, right, Clover?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like dance class?
Yes.
Yeah, Clover really likes dance class, so she's in dance. But, I still live at my house, so there is still music there, and we all listen to music. And so when we're getting ready for school, we put music on. Before we go to sleep, we listen to music, and we all have our favorite bands and music that we like to listen to. Sometimes I get the ukulele out and we play fun songs together, and that's probably how it plays out in our house right now. But our youngest, Briar Rose, might be the one who's the most into music at this point, but we'll see. She's still young yet, but yeah, that's kind of how it works in our house for right now.
I like that. I like that you like dancing too, Clover. Our podcast is all about little kids with big hearts, giving them a space to share feelings. Ryan, why do you think it's important for kids and families to talk about feelings, and how do you think music can help?
I think it's very important to talk about feelings. It's something that we put a lot of emphasis at in our house, right, Clover? We talk about our big feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we try really hard to talk about our big feelings because we find that can be very helpful. It can help us feel better. If you bottle up those big feelings and you don't express them or deal with them, that can have harmful effects on us. And so we think that talking about feelings is important for that reason. And music and dance and lots of types of art can help dealing with our big feelings. And so I think music helps in that way because you can express your feelings. As we said earlier, music can kind of speak a language that words are limited by. And the same can be said for painting. We do a lot of painting, don't we? And coloring. Do you color a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, we do a lot of painting and coloring and crafts. And all of those things can help us express ourselves in helpful ways.
That's great. Clover, do you have one more question for your dad?
What if kids want to make sounds too? Like if I want to make my own stories or songs, what should I do first?
Well, if you want to make your own stories or songs, I think what you should do first is just start however you want. That's what's cool, in my opinion, about being creative. There aren't really any rules. And there's not a lot of things in life that don't have rules. And what I think is so great about music and art in general is that there aren't really a lot of rules. There are rules that you can choose to follow that could be helpful, but lots of times it's fun to not have any rules. And so if you want to just start singing a song, it might start with some words. Like if you are feeling like you have a story that you want to tell, maybe it's about a shark. Clover really likes sharks. So if you wanted to make a song about sharks, you could just think of what that story might be. We made up a story of our own about a shark, don't we, that we sell each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you could turn that story into music. You could start humming a tune and see if you can't find fun words that match that tune. If you have a piano at your house, you can start playing the piano and see what words fit with this kind of tune that you're banging out on the keys there. And if you don't have any instruments, you can just start tapping some pots, come up with a rhythm that sounds fun, and see how that makes you feel and what words maybe that inspires in your head. And what's great about that is no one will have ever made that song or story before. It'll be completely your own, which is very empowering and very fun.
Yeah. Well, Clover, if you end up making a song about a shark, we'll play it on the podcast. That's our mission to kids out there this month is to send us their songs. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us and for bringing all your magic to every episode this season. And thank you, Clover, for being such an awesome co-host today. To all our listeners, if you've ever giggled at a silly sound, danced to the music, or imagined yourself flying to the land of Qook-a-lackas, Ryan helped make that moment come alive this season. Remember, whether you're telling your story with your own words, like Ryan just said, music, or even spaghetti, what matters most is that you share what's in your heart. Thanks for listening, everyone, and until next time, keep those big hearts open. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Clover.
Bye.
Bye.